Steve, can you tell us a little bit about tracking every penny? Do you remember that little analogy?
Yeah, so what we had, one of our first brainstorming sessions, I guess if you will, at Adilas, was we were talking about the need in accounting to track every penny, because a lot of accounting systems actually, you just basically do adjustments, that they call it. It's kind of a, in our lingo, that's kind of a no-no word, but so all these adjustments that you would normally, I was normally used to seeing or participating in other type accounting systems, we wanted to, from the beginning, not have to encounter that situation. And as you go through the system, you'll see we don't have any areas that just stand out that just say, click here to do an adjustment. And so when we first started, we came up with the concept of trying to track every penny, and actually that's even turned into 5 decimal places of accuracy of a penny. And yeah, it's kind of interesting where it went to, but if you can track every penny through the system in the form of, I know we're going to start touching on some inventory, so that's kind of the basis of where a lot of this starts, is a company usually has to start to buy something before they can start to sell, and then they can start to pay their bills. There's, kind of as Brandon mentioned, we go along with the time. So with that being said, a lot of times when you're buying your inventory, there's a lot of different things that start to happen there. You could buy 150 feet of wire for $80.73. Well, if you want to sell that wire at per foot, then you have a problem, because you take $150 and divide it into $80.73, and you get some strange number that's out here many decimal places. So you'll start to see that you can control how much of that penny you want to see, but in the background we're tracking it all the way out to 5 decimal places for you. And then as all of those pieces go together, then all of your accounting matches up. And a lot of other systems that I've been involved in, you have to basically adjust or plug, they call it, the numbers to make something like that work. So we chose to kind of differentiate ourselves in the fact that if a penny truly exists in life, then you need to be able to account for it in any other circumstances that happen when you're using that relationship. Because again, to go back to a one-to-many relationship, that's kind of a relationship to what your cost is, a relationship to what your accounting is going to be. And Brandon's going to get into that even more as we go into, we're going to start into the POs. Is that what you're?
POs and parts. I would like to do a quick little, actually, I would love to kind of just show, as you were talking, I was like, ugh, yeah, I remember this, there's tons of neat things. You guys want to see something clear back from '09, just kind of from the vault, just for fun? Log in and go right here to the dead middle, objects and data over time. Go ahead and click on that for a second.
Click on what?
Objects and data over time. Look straight, right smack dab in the middle.
Got it.
Okay, so what Steve was actually talking about is a bunch of things. And what I have right here is it just says objects and data over time homepage. But in theory, what we wanted to do eventually, and there's the bad word again, eventually, but we wanted to kind of help show some of these concepts and some of the things that we're doing. But it's kind of fun. This is from 3/30 of '09, so that is about 5 years back or whatever. We're almost, was it 4 years back? Thanks. Okay, count. Okay, don't tell anybody that. Okay, so let's scroll down and just kind of have fun. Look at the little graphic. There's some funny little things. Steve was just talking money in, money going out. We were talking pennies, different little things. It's kind of funny. We had containers. Guess what we brought? I brought containers back there. I have a picture of Pringles cans, so we could stuff things into little cans. Okay. Here's a little guy doing a database. Oh, here's a water, slush, and ice. These are way back, just concepts that we were kind of thinking about. Here's how we do the database. So say this big giant vault is a database. And inside, you have a little dude who's stacking everything into all the little different little places. Inside one of those little files, it might actually be organized even more. like inside of the little file drawers. But basically it was just like a little visual, like how does a database work? You throw something at it and basically there really are not people inside of the database, okay? But as a visual, imagine somebody that has this circular vault, almost like an old library, and they have the ladder up there and that they can swing around to whatever different level and pull it out and stack it in there for you. Imagine doing that at digital speeds, 1 million queries plus a day. Like just throwing this stuff, and it's perfectly stacked into that kind of a little organization. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit more. It's just kind of funny. Here's a zipper. Have you guys heard us talk about zippers? We had this analogy. Pringles cans. Here's a one-to-many relationship. Deposit to multiple invoice payments, okay? There's a little bar right here, and they're virtually holding hands. And that's kind of like a connection. It's kind of just silly and funny. Guess what? This is a one-to-many relationship right here. This is a computer, and here it's talking to a normal computer. This one's talking to a laptop. This one's talking to a device. This one's talking to somebody, and they have multiple windows and multiple screens. This is Sherry over here. So like, and it doesn't matter. Adilas is like, hey, what are you talking to? You have a device that connects to the internet? No problem. So that's a one-to-many, and on that other one, Sherry actually has a one-to-many and a one-to-many and a one-to-many. Okay, she has multiple monitors, multiple windows, but she's still talking back and forth with the data. It's just kind of fun. Here's another little thing that was kind of funny. Here's another way to show a one-to-many relationship, okay? This one here happens to be invoices, okay? Say you have a main, which now we're kind of using like a little plate and some cups, but guess what? Payments, line items, photos, history, additional customers, like, it's just another way to kind of show a one-to-many relationship, how these things are actually connected. There's a little invoice right here. The main info is at the top, the line items. Anytime you see the little infinity sign, that means many. And so that's kind of a little thing right there. Guess what? Here's another way to show one-to-manys and different things. It's very, very important. These were just like little scratch concept type stuff. This was in 09. We just kind of happened to scratch it out. So let's talk just real quick, flat file versus a 3D object. What's the difference there? Well, at some point, the flat file gets broken because it can't do it. And I would relate it back to the muffin tin, okay? A muffin tin is very similar to a flat file. You have certain things, certain rows, certain columns that you can do. You can go this way and you can go this way, but everything has to carry the exact same weight. That makes sense, okay? But if you have an object, a 3D object, so in order to do a flat file, most of you guys have done this battleship or something like this. F14. Oh, you hit my battleship, okay? There's a row and a column, and that's the only way that you can basically get, or you can get to sections of it. If you have a 3D object, what happens to your points of entry? Top, middle, bottom, side, up, like you have so many more points of entry, but look at also what you're able to do. So you can even take a flat file and stack it this way, and stack it this way, and all of a sudden, you're still able to record rows and columns, but you can give flat files dimension because you create an object. It's very important. It goes beyond just the normal little thing. Just coming down, oh look, targets, holding areas. Okay, this is funny. Look at that far side over there. I have a little drawing of that thing right over there. Okay, so what happens here, we were talking about cash versus accrual accounting. This was just concepts. Cash accounting, see this little bottle that's floating down the middle of it right there? Check this out. Money comes in, money goes out. Okay, it might be even the same money. I just got a sale, I'm now able to purchase something. Okay, that's called cash accounting. It's the same money running back and forth. Okay, as soon as it gets into that other model right there, say you have money coming in, sales come in, and all of a sudden we hold it, or we don't get it all, or something happens, it gets mixed into this big giant circular pot. While it's in this big circular pot, we still have to track it. There is money going out on the other side, but it might not be the same money that came in. Does that make sense? It comes in, mixes, and then goes out. That's accrual accounting, which if you haven't, or if you're not familiar with, most companies ideally should be doing accrual accounting if there's any sort of IOUs, UOMEs, or I have inventory. If you have any of those pieces, you need to be doing the accrual accounting. What we do is we track it as it's in that middle ground, if that makes sense, okay? This bottom little piece, the little guy that has the little flags, okay, and all the other people, roll call. Basically, the server, what it does is it says, who has this? And what it does is the server is the guy who has the flags, and he can ask multiple questions. All your data is sitting out there. It's already been categorized. And what we do is we say, who hasn't paid their invoice? Me. Okay, great. You guys come over here. Like, and he basically can count them. Or he can say, who was here and who was there? He can ask certain questions. And what he does, he's virtually able to go back and just in time do these little calculations or checks as far as like what's actually happening. But anyway, just a bunch of fun little things. Here, we're going to go down just a little bit further right here. You've seen a similar model to this, linear with permissions, okay? Those little dots are checkpoints. The little dotted line going around it, that's a permission level. Hey, I'm only going to let Jimmy go to these first 2 stages. And then you would basically stack another permission level and another permission level so that the person can go further and further. I'm talking right here. So start and eventually finish or iced down. But Jimmy can only go to here because this is all of his permissions. If there was a bigger permission that kind of came out here, maybe this is what we would allow Fred to do. He could do anything that Jimmy could do, and he could go out to clear to the Fred level. But say way over here, the final step, like this is done. Maybe we say this is Mary's level, and Mary is the only one that can transverse that whole section there. Okay, here's an analogy, just for fun. And I'm going to actually ask you, okay, a one-to-many analogy. Motorcycles, cars, buses, and a transport truck. Can anybody give me a rundown on that? Steve, can I call on you?
Yeah, does everybody know what that little symbol is there?
This
It
is,
says the one that,
this right here, a one-to-many.
that's
A
the
many
infinity
means
symbol? Like
infinity.
an 8 laying on something.
Oh.
It's
I could-
infinity.
thank
It's
you.
infinity. Yep, infinity.
That's how we put the one to many, is the one space dash space and then a little infinity sign. So what was the,
So, can you comment on this? What would be the difference between a motorcycle, a car, a bus, or a transport truck, and how it relates to a one-to-many? Just as an analogy, it happened to be on the thing here.
sure, like on anything that you have more than one of or potentially more than one of. And I think where we were going, if I remember right on that, what we were looking at is that we had different categories of potential, inventory that we could store, and all of them would potentially be in a one-to-many relationship to the database.
Awesome. Like, just to, for instance, say I'll use invoices. Lots of people like invoices. A one-to-one, say you have a quick invoice, you sell 1 candy bar, and you got 1 payment, okay? 1, okay? It's very simple. But if you forced everything into that, it wouldn't always work, okay? A car, just in an invoice type scenario, say you have an invoice, you have a customer, and he has 4 or 5 items fit in a car, pretty easy. Maybe stick some stuff in the trunk, whatever. And maybe he has a couple small payments. Okay, a bus. Hey, I'd like to order from you, and I want and you're filling up the whole bus full of invoice items or full of payments. Man, you know what? I'm going to have to pay you over months and months and months and months in order to get this thing done. It grows to a bigger one-to-many relationship. Think of a bus, filling it up with all those different little pieces, okay? A transport truck, what would that be like? Does everybody know what a transport truck is? Say you have 5 or 6 cars that have all of their own individual data, and you drive them up onto this little ramp. So this big truck is now holding 6 other items that actually exist. So in an invoice level, guess what this would be? Statement. Okay, guess what I do? One statement. You owe me for January, February, March, April, May, June, whatever you wanted to do, and just kind of showing what the different pieces are. That statement then would start carrying some of that other data. When I actually have to solve it, I have to go back down to the smaller pieces, but that might make it just kind of a general. Anyway.
Make your help files relate to these analogies.
What's that?
Make your help files relate to those analogies.
Awesome.
These first things, this is what you need to be showing people. What does that zipper really mean?
Correct.
What does that transport truck really mean?
You know what? we're actually starting to get there, and I have my daughter, she's a 12-year-old, and so I scribbled out some of these little ideas, but what you're asking for is, watch this right here. If I go here and I go to the steps for success, my daughter draws some simple little graphics, but watch some of these exact same pieces, okay? Match the tool to the right job. She drew some fun little things, okay? How does it work? We play catch. Blip, 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 blip. It plays catch with the server.
Good.
How do we do things? We let the data come and it comes past checkpoints. Good, 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 good. We're starting to get into some of these things. Here's the little guy working on the database model. Here's
Cool.
the exact same piece.
That's good.
Here's the motorcycle, the truck, and the transport car. Here's the flat versus this. Like, we're starting to get into some of these little pieces as far as like what they're doing. Here's the little web. The web plus Adilas equals good money. No, just kidding. Like a bunch of different things. Here's the data sphere. Think of this data sphere or this 3D web. Like lots of times a web has tons of way around it, but what if you made it a 3D web? It's like, oh my goodness, wow, I could go anywhere and connect to anything. We're trying to slowly get some of these concepts out there. This is kind of a funny one. It's like mix and match. A little bit of Q, a little bit of accounts payable, a little bit of recipes, a little bit of inventory tracking, and voila, you get Atlas. You just kind of mix it up. Like we're just teasing, but basically my daughter Abby is helping me do some stuff. Here's a whole thing on roll call accounting. It's that exact same little teeny little drawing that we did back in '09. We're just kind of using some of the stuff. It's just barely getting to that stage where we're doing this. But as I'm clicking through here, oh, I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry, my bad. I will just stop that. Say I click on the next one. I just want to show you some of these little pictures. Right here we're saying, hey, most of the stuff in Atlas is behind the scenes. If you go to the main website, you're going to see 6 pages, maybe, type thing. It's really not that big of a deal. Inside of Atlas, there is 1,000 pages that are dynamically fed and interconnected, and that is where the meat and potatoes are, okay? Like, it's just kind of fun. There's a bunch of different little pieces. Hey, guard your username and password well, that's how you get in. Just, they're funny little graphics and stuff, but settings and user permissions, that's how we base things off of. And anyway, we're just barely starting. Here's what we do at corporation. It's a little fenced-in area. Each little one has its own little thing. We come down, we talk about locations. They're scalable. And it just keeps going and going. My daughter's drawn some new things, but I haven't been able to keep up with her. Here's one that she did, water, snow to ice, and with a small little definition of kind of what it does. Here's a cart versus the horse. Is it in front or behind? You know, it's just kind of funny. She does some great little drawings for me. Here's a zipper. One side's operations, one side's accounting. We're trying to zip this thing up together. We're trying to get there. Here's an overview of what we do. We virtually watch and track your data almost as if it's being video cameraed. And then we basically can run it back or run it forward if we need to, and we can go to whatever level we need to. It's very three-dimensional. It's very three-dimensional. But anyway, just kind of funny. This one here actually deals with elements of time, and we're going to be probably talking about this today. When you create an element of time, you virtually create a cookie cutter, okay? And then you can use that cookie cutter over and over and over to make cookies. So this is your master time templates. These are your elements of time, and you can just make as many as you want once you create whatever it is that is your master time template, okay? And an example of that would be something like this. Say I needed just a quick little follow-up or a quick little post-it note type thing that I wanted to put to a calendar event, okay? Maybe that's the start. Maybe this one was actually a client meeting where I physically was like, hey, this isn't a reminder. I'm going to be billing for this one, and I'm going to assign it to XYZ client type thing. But you can create as many cookie cutters as you want, and then you just use it over and over and over again. So anyway, I don't have all the help files done on that, but just to kind of give you an idea, we're starting to slowly roll some of those little concepts out, but it's kind of fun.